This is Gemara Baba Kama Daf Kuf Dalid, and we're holding 4 lines from the bottom of Kuf Gimel Amid Beis, in which we're trying to figure out the Shita of the Mishnah. If we scroll up for a moment, we had a din in the Mishnah, in which the Mishnah taught us that in a scenario in which one stole and afterwards was Nishbal Sheker, that he swore falsely saying he did not steal, he has to go to great lengths to pay back that which he stole. As the Mishnah on the bottom of Kuf Beis Amid Beis taught us, Kuf Gimel Amid Aleph taught us, you have to travel all the way to Madai to repay him. And the Gemara was Medayek, that Nishba in, only if you swore do you have to go to such lengths, and not if you did not swear. And the discussion that ensued was, whom is the author of the Mishnah, as this sounds neither like Rav Tarfin nor Rabbi Akiva. So yesterday on Amid Beis we started the discussion, and today in the bottom of Amid Beis we'll pick it up 5 lines from the bottom, in which the Gemara says, Eloli Olam Rav Tarfin. Let's say that the opinion of the Mishnah is Rav Tarfin, but there's a unique chiddush according to this a way of understanding Rav Tarfin in the Mishnah, which is what? Omayde Rav Tarfin echad ishtaba. Rav Tarfin is a maida that you would have to pay back in a scenario in which he took a shvua sheker. What's the reason? My time of the markal asher hu lo yitnenu b'yom hashmasai, the one you gave on the day of your hashama, the day of your guilt, which shows us that one has to go to any length to pay back in a scenario of specifically a shvua sheker. So the Gemara now, wrapping up loose ends, says Rav Akiva. And according to Rav Akiva, who taught us that you have to pay in all scenarios, Afal Gav Deloy Mishnah. But why? If we're learning from the pasuk that the payment is dafka, is specifically in a scenario of a shvua sheker, why is Rav Akiva telling me you have to pay even if not? Says the Gemara, the reason is kanas. It's good old-fashioned kanas that Chazal imposed on the Gazlan to have to pay back in all scenarios. Says the Gemara, 1 second. According to Rav Tarfin Michti, in the scenario where he swore falsely, lo sagya to lo haida, is it not enough that he'd have to pay the extra payments and to bring the carbon in a scenario where he did not emit? Then my area, why are we referring to Vinishma? Why are we saying only where he swore? Afilu b'loi shvuanami. Says the Gemara, if the Mishnah is Rav Tarfin, then why is the Mishnah specifically discussing a case of a shvua sheker? Even without that, Titania, as you learned in a brayso, 2 lines on the bottom, Moide Rav Tarfin admits, Baimer Lishnaim Gazalti, in a scenario in which one said to 2 people, I stole Echad Mikem Mana, Veini Yodei Michem. I stole from one of you a mana, and I don't know which one. What's the halacha? Says Rav Tarfin, Noisin Lazemana Ulazemana. He's obligated to give to each and every one of these 2 people the full amount that he admits that he owes the mana. Why? As we turn over to Kuf Daled Amud Aleph, says the Gemara, you know why? Because he admitted that he owes, and therefore, as the top Rashi points out, therefore he has to pay back in any scenario because he admitted he owes. So says the Gemara, if our Mishnah is Rav Tarfin, even in a case without a shvua sheker, he should have to pay back. Ella my Rav on the top line of Kuf Daled Amud Aleph, continues the Gemara. Rava says, you know Pshan in the Mishnah, Shnaini mas Nisan, Shnaini mas Nisan, the Kivan the Yada Leman Gozle. The Mishnah is different. The Mishnah really says Rava. Really, as Rashi points out in the first last Y line, could really be Divrei Akoli. It could be both Rav Tarfin and Rabbi Akiva. Why? The Kiva and the Yadi Laman Gazla. Cause since the Gazla knows from whom he stole, as we just pointed out, he admitted, since he's able to return the money, it's as if he said to me, it's as if he said, I have something of yours in my hand, Hilkach. Therefore, Nishva Falgav de Karmele Yoli Biadcha Kim de Boy Kapara Losagi Adamata Liade. Haloi Nishva Havi Gabe Pikadon Adasi Vishakile. Because we're dealing specifically in a case in which he admitted, therefore it's as if he tells him, it's yours until you give it to me. I said that slightly off. Since he knows who he owes the money, therefore, it's as if the owner tells the Gazlan, that which you owe me is in your possession as a bikad. Therefore, if the Gazlan follows up with that, and was nishvalish sheker, specifically in that case, kivan de boik, excuse me, hilkach nishva, afal gav de ka'amri le yuli biyadcha, because then he needs a kapara. Therefore, lo sagile adamat liyadei, he has to pay him back. Whereas in the scenario of haloy yishtaba, then Havigabe Bikadon, it's considered a Bikadon in his hand at Asi V'Shakalei until the owner comes and takes him, meaning Einach even without anything you would have to pay it. So therefore, concludes Rava, we had a lengthy discussion. Is the Mishnah Rabbi Akiva, is the Mishnah Rabbi Tarfin, Lamaskana? Could be both, because we're mukim the case, in this unique case, which he knows to whom he stole, and he admitted to such. We said the Goslin does not pay back to his son, nor to his shliach. Says the Gemara, Itmar shliach. Where did the highlighter go? There he is. Shliach shaso beidim. In the scenario of a shliach who was made in the presence of Eidim to collect the chayiv. Rav Chizda Amar have shliach. Rabbi Amar lo have shliach. So we begin a new discussion of Machlekes Rav Chizda and Rabban explains the Gemara. Rav Chizda Amar Avi Shliach, 10 lines down. First one line is Amar Lachi Tarchi V'Ukmi Beidim Deleku Bershusei. The reason is the reason why he bedavka. He specifically appointed the Shliach in the presence of Eidim to collect the chayiv, and therefore he's considered a Shliach. Why? Because that is the reason why Bedavka did it. Deleker b'rshusei. So that's considered in the Shliach's Rishos. Rabba Amar Lavi Shliach. Why not? Achi Kamar. The reason is Inshi Mehem Nehu. The reason why he did it in front of other people is so that other people will say he's a trustworthy person. He's Samcha Samoch. Ibas Lashur Biyadei, Shader Biyadei. If you want to rely on him, then rely on him. If you want to send it in his possession, send it in his possession. But in either scenario, according to Rabbah, he's not actually a shliach. And the whole reason why he's appointing him in front of other people is for these ulterior motives. Says the Gemara, that's a kasha on Rav Chisda, says he is a shliach. Tanan, we learned in a Mishnah. Someone borrows a cow and he gives it to the hand of his son, his Eved, or his servant, or his messenger. Or he sends it in the hands of the shliach, the son, the Eved of the shayel, umeisa, and on the way it dies, pater. The borrower, the shayel, is pater from payment. Why? If you look at Rashi directly, of course, a few lines up, to l'kamer versus shayel, because the shayel never got the item, is chayav ha'insim. until he says explicitly to give it to his son. So says the Gemara, 1 second. Hi shluchai hechidami. What is the case in which he got to his own shliach? If he never made him into a shliach in front of Eidim, then how do we know he's a shliach? Elo also beidim, and yet vikatani de potter. Kasha Rav Chisda, says Gemara, it's a kasha Rav Chisda, because even though he made him into a shliach in front of Eidim, we see it doesn't work. We see it's not considered in the possession of the shayel. Answers. The Gemara Kedamar Rav Chisda says, Rav Chisda explained elsewhere. That we're talking about, that he gave it to his chira, his hired hand, or likatai, one who usually harvests for him. And the Mishnah is talking about a case in which really there was no edim at all. Therefore, there's no kasha. How do we know this whole story happened? The reason is because he's someone that this person always uses regularly as he hires him out, or he's his regular person that harvests his field. Kasha and Rav Chisda, Teretz, that this case is not dealing with the same as ours. Tanan continues the Gemara, another Kasha and Rav Chisda, says the Braisa. Lo yitein leiben avla the shluchai. Hi shluchai echidami. What's the case of the shliach? Again, if he didn't make it with Eidim, I mean, how do we know? Elolav dasai be'edim. Must be it was made with Eidim, and yet we see that it's not considered like it came into possession. Kash Rav Chisda, again, Rav Chisda b'schira of aligatai, aval shliach shasa be'edim, yachanami david shliach. But it's only Seifa, but once we see in the Seifa that it says, aval noisenu l'shliach bezdin, left like this day. Says the Gemara, if you want to answer that it's the same case like we thought a moment ago, but then the Seifa, why would the Seifa say a case that he gave it to the Shliach Bezdin and then it's considered to be in his Rishos? Should differentiate within the case itself. Shliach shasal be'idim, hachanami davei shliach. Shows should have been a Shliach. Answers the Gemara. 10 lines from the white lines. First one in line is Shliach. Amri. The Gemara answers that it's true that Mishnah could have discussed a case in which he made it in front of Eidim. However, it wouldn't have been pasak, wouldn't have been clear cut. Why? Shliach bezdin. One more time. Amri loy psikale, says the Gemara. Why? No, one more time. Excuse me. Loy psikale. Shliach bezdin. Loy shnasa nigzal. There it is. Gazlin. When it comes to the Shliach Bez, it doesn't make a difference who made the Shliach. Have a Shliach. Psikale. Shliach Shasa Beidim. Tchiasa Nigzal Hu Davi Shliach. Asa Gazlin. Loy Have Shliach. Loy Psikale says Gemara wasn't as clear cut. And that is the reason why the Mishnah didn't list as such. Says the Gemara Lafuke Mahaitana. And this Mishnah, which says that he is a shliach when it's made by Bezdin, is coming la'afuke to exclude from the following Tanya, 4 lines from the white lines, the Tanya. Rabbi Shimon Elazar Aimer, shliach Bezdin shasa nigzav losa gazlin, oisa gazlin v'shliach v'shalach alav v'notel eshalem yadai. Potter, he holds it's not good even though Shliach made it. Rav Yechon, Rav Lazar, Dami Tervayu. First white line, Shliach Shasal Be'idim. Ha Vei Shliach. No, excuse me, that's the next tickle. So that's the Teretz. But says the Gemara, commenting back on our discussion on the Machlekes, Rav Chisda, Rabba, but Shliach Shasal Be'idim, Rabba said to Shliach, and Rabba says not a Shliach. Rav Chisda said, yeah. Says the Gemara on the last narrow line, excuse me, Kov Daled Amar Aleph, Rav Yechon, Rav Lazar, Damri Tarvayu, Rav Yechon and Rav Lazar both hold, Shliach Shasa Be'idim, Ha Vei Shliach. Vim Taimer Mishnah Seinu. And if you're going to say, what about our Mishnah? Because our Mishnah says, if you give it to the Shliach, it's not considered returned. Says the Gemara, B'mamsi, Lo Shliach. It doesn't mean that if he's made into a Shliach with Neyedim, it would work. It means where B'mamsi Lo Shliach is where the the one who had the item stolen from him gave him a shliach, but not in front of Eidim. To Amar Le Isli Zuzi Gabi Planya. V'loi Kamishader Luhu. Ischazi Le. Talmeineshu. Toloi Mishkach Lashu Dure Le. Says the Gemara, the case is I have money that's owed to me by so and so, and he's not giving it to me. So what? Ischazi Le appear to him, meaning show up on my behalf, and then Dilma, perhaps, maybe he doesn't have someone to send it with, but he'll send it with you. Says the Gemara, Inami, another Shakter of Chista, Beschira, of Alikatai. Therefore, again, it's not a raya, because maybe the case is just referring to where he gave it to someone who is known to be his hired person, known to be his harvester. Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Shmuel, as the Gemara segues into a related discussion about a shliach, as we turn over to Kafdalim and Beis, says the Gemara, Ein mishalchin ma'ois b'diyukni. Says the Gemara, if someone owes someone else money, you're not allowed to send money b'diyukni on the basis of a diyukni, or something else that shows that someone is associated with the one you owe him money to. It's not enough to show he's a shliach. Look at the top Rashi. Masar loy bal bikadon l'shliach simanim. V'kasav loy chais mai b'igeres v'masar v'amar loy lech v'hatarol l'plani v'itulcha mai sheish l'biyadi. Go, and he'll give it to me. Says the Gemara, having the signature is not enough. Va'afilu, continues the Gemara, va'afilu eidim chatumim alei, even with eidim. Rav Yochanan Amar, no, im eidim chatumim alei, then mishach. If someone shows up with a document signed by eidim, then you could trust him. Amri, they said, L'Shmuel, according to Shmuel, Maitekante. Again, Shmuel was the first opinion. Amar of Yudam or Shmuel. So says the Gemara, according to that opinion, Maitekante. What can be done? Someone wants to collect money and he doesn't want to go travel. Someone owes me $1,000,000. I don't want to go travel. I want to send someone to him. How am I able to? We just said Afilu Eidim Chatumim doesn't work according to Shmuel. Says the Gemara, 4 lines into Kaftalim Beis, Ki Hadi Rav Abba Havi Masik Zuzi, but Rav Yosi Barachami Odmani, Amar Le the Rav Safa Bahadi Dasis, Aisinuni Alei, Ki Azal Hasim Amar Le, Rava Brei, Mi Kasiv Lachaz Kabalti Amar Le Loi, Yachi Zel Bereisha V'Yichtachaz Kabalti, L'Saif. Excuse me. So that's the answer. You should do like Rav Abba. Oh, Rav Yosi Bar Huna owed him money. So Rav Abba told someone else, Rav Safra, that when you come back, bring me the money. Rav Safra went. Rava, who was Rav Yosi Bar Chama's son, said to him, did Rav Abba write a document showing that I've received payment, so I'll know that he's freed up? Meaning, when someone pays up his debt, you give him a receipt. It's kabalti. So he asked, did he do that? So he said, go get the shtar that he writes his kabalti, and then he'll pay you. So what happens? L'saif amar le'i kas l'chanami his kabalti. Even if he writes his kabalti, lav klamu, it's nothing. Damad ases shachif. You know why it's nothing? Because by the time you get back, Rav Abba will have died, and the money is going to be given to the Yisayimim, and therefore that which says Shachav Rav Abba, v'navla zuzei kami yasvi, v'skabalti the Rav Abba lav klamu, and the fact that Rav Abba wrote skabalti is nothing. Why? Because the Yarshim are the ones that are owned. So how can we protect him? Amar lei v'alamaita kante. What else can we do? Zel naktinu l'cha gavara. No, we should do. He should transfer the money by way of land, and then v'ta'at and come back kosav lan his kabalti, and then we'll repay you. Ki hadra papa v'masik tracer alfezus. He says the Gemara. This is the Eitzah. Rabba was owed 12,000 zuz. By whom? Bechazai. So what did he do? He transferred the fact that he's owed the money to none other than the Rav Shmuel bar Abba. Agav Aseva de Beise. And he put it onto the threshold literally of his house. And then when he came with the money, Rav Papa went as far as Tavoch to get the money. So we see that you have to make it bulletproof, ironclad, that the payment will be accepted by going and make it that it's meshubit to the karka. So once it is paid, it is paid. We go, we quote the next part of the Mishnah, Nasan lo yisakeren. If you give the keren, says the Mishnah, again back to the case of the gazla and the robber that goes and he gives the keren, but he doesn't give the chaimesh, then he doesn't have to go to find him to get back the chaimesh. Says the Gemara, Alma chaimesh mimaynu. We see that the payment of chaimesh is a payment of monetary payments, and therefore v'mayis mishalmi leyarshin, and therefore if he dies, the Yarshim have to pay him, meaning we see he has a tain on it. Tananami, Noisin Nasan as Akaram and Ishval, Chaimesh, Hare Mesev Chaimesh, Al Chaimesh. You have to add another fifth. Amachum Shamamanu, it's a regular monetary payment. Tanami Hachi, Akoizelas Chavero Vinishlo Meis, Yarshim Mishalmin Karen, Vachaimesh, Upeturim Mina Asham. The Yarshim in Shlume Chumsha Davun Avoy. Do the Yarshim have to pay the Chaimesh of their father? Alma Chumsham and Bainu by Shlume Yarshin. So we see they have to pay, but ask the Gemara 1 second for a minu. Adayin ani Omer Am say no Mishalim Chaimesh Al Gezel Aviv is not Shloi Nishba. When he didn't swear lo v'lo Aviv, hu v'lo Aviv, Aviv lo hu. If you are the father, father he. Hu v'Aviv minayin. How do we know there's a payment in such a case? Tamalaymar Asher Gazav Asher Ashak. V'lo Gazav V'lo Ashak. Since it wasn't he, therefore there's no payment of the extra chaimesh in such a case. Amar Rav Nachman says, Rav Nachman, no, that's not a stira. Loi kasha, kan shahoide kan shahoide, kan shaloi hoida. And we conclude with the Gemara saying, 1 second, Eloi hoida, karen nami lo l'sham. He shouldn't have to pay anything. Are all cases that he pays the karen and not the chaimesh. Says the Gemara, if he wasn't Maida, why is he paying the Karen? You're going to tell me, no, he didn't pay the Karen. You're only going to collect the Chaimesh if you already pay the Karen. Number one. Number two, Karen al Gezel Aviv. Bizman Nishra Huva Aviv. Aviv lo, Huva lo Aviv. V'lo Huva lo Aviv. Ayin Tam Laver Gzela V'ashak Aveda B'Gadin Yesh. Talmud. So says the Gemara, what is going on over here? We see clearly from the pasuk that you pay the Karen. So how do we reconcile that the Karen is the Chaimesh? So the Gemara concludes, V'Yosef Rav Huna v'Kamer la Shmeitza Amli Rabba Brei Yesh Talmud Kamar Mar or Yesh Talmud Kamar Mar. Interesting. Is it Yesh Talmud? Is it that there is a pasuk to learn? Or was Mar saying Yesh Talmud? Amar le Rav Huna responded, Yesh Talmud Kamina. Mebrua de Kroy Amira Amri. And I'm saying we learn now from the additional pasuk. So we see that yes, they have to pay the Karen, not like Rav Nachman said. But says the Gemara, Lamai lo haida. What does it mean lo haida? Lo haida aviv haida binoi. Was the father was in Maida, but the son was Maida. We'll pick up with this final teretz as this will conclude into the next sugya. Psiyata Dishmaya.